Like a lot of people in East and Southeast Asia, the Chinese had to fight off the Japanese during World War II. In the immediate aftermath of the Japanese defeat, China broke into a civil war that lasted from 1945 through 1949. It was fought between two political parties and their leaders. The Communists, who were led by Mao Zedong, and the Nationalists, who were led by Chiang Kai-shek. In 1949, the Communists won the war and the Nationalists fled to Taiwan. In Taiwan, the Nationalists set up what they called the Republic of China, which is the actual name of Taiwan. You can see Taiwan, it's the red island off to the east of China in the ocean. The Taiwanese government claimed to be the actual government of all of China. They were just in exile and would one day return to reclaim all of China. Meanwhile, on the mainland, the communists established what they called the People's Republic of China, which is the actual name of that country today. They claim that they are the actual legitimate governing body of Taiwan, which they view as a breakaway province that one day, one way or another, will be reincorporated into the People's Republic of China. As a result, China will not allow any country to have diplomatic relations with both China and Taiwan. If you try to have relations with both, the Chinese expel your ambassadorial staff and recall theirs. So Taiwan only has diplomatic relations with about 15 countries in the world. Interestingly enough, 4 of them are in Central America. Many countries have diplomatic ties to Taiwan, but not full diplomatic relations. And as we'll see, interestingly enough, almost none of the countries in Africa have relations of any sort with Taiwan. What about the United States? Taiwan is a free market economy. It's a full democracy. We trade widely with Taiwan, including top-of-the-line military equipment that we sell them. The answer is no. We do not have diplomatic relations with Taiwan. We have diplomatic relations with the People's Republic of China. Business is business. If you look at this map that I have here, the reason Taiwan is red is because this is a communist map, and it shows Taiwan as being a part of China. The communist era in China then began in 1949. Mao took charge and remained the leader of the country until his death in 1976. During much of that time, the country was largely isolated from the rest of the world. China has a long history of famine, which the communists managed to continue. Some estimates of the worst starvation episodes, which were from, in all likelihood, 1958 through 1960, may have killed tens of millions of people, but who knows? During Mao's reign, there was widespread political and social persecution that had a randomness to it. It caused neighbor to denounce neighbor and family member to denounce family member, to devastating consequences in China. The country became an economic basket case, and population essentially doubled by the time Mao died, reaching nearly 1 billion people. Mao was followed by Deng Xiaoping as the leader of China. Deng had a saying, "White cat, black cat, what does it matter as long as it catches mice?" What he was saying is, call it communism or call it capitalism, whatever you want to call it, I don't care as long as it works. That was the beginning of the seismic shift in China that put the country on the road to the powerhouse that it has become today. Deng instituted what he called the 4 modernizations. He wanted these 4 things modernized in China: agriculture, industry, defense, and science. The way you do that is greater openness to the West and the rest of the world to acquire the technology to be able to do that. And this is what Deng began to do: open the country up in a big way to the rest of the world. Deng also brought in the one-child policy, which was recently switched to a two-child policy. Obviously enough, during the one-child policy era, couples were only allowed to have 1 child. All sorts of things were tied to this. housing, healthcare, job promotion, education, vacation, advancement, all of this, you name it. There was great pressure to have only one child. This was primarily enforced in the cities, though, not in the countryside. And if you had twins or triplets, that counted as one. But we know there was draconian measures taken, including government-forced abortions and infanticide, along with sex selection. And the sex most desired was male. This is common in traditional societies. Here's a little look at one of the consequences of that policy. Sex ratio refers to the number of males to females in a society. It's pegged to females. Let's look at the first one. What this is telling you is that on Earth at birth, there are 109 males born for every 100 females. As I said, it's pegged to females. So females are always 100. In China at birth, the ratio is 115 males to 100 females. In India, the ratio is 112 males to 100 females. In the United States, it's 105 males to 100 females. So, very little sex selection happens in the United States. And if you factor in other countries where sex selection is uncommon, the numbers are about the same as the United States. This means that for whatever reason, there seems to be a natural course of slightly more males born than females, just in general, all things being considered. In terms of overall global population, there are more males than there are females, 101 males to 100 females on the planet. However, in China, the numbers are 106 males to 100 females. This is a direct consequence of the one-child policy. And it has begun to impact the country because those kids born during that time are now at the age where they are having their own families. And this is increasingly difficult because male and male do not make child, and homosexuality is illegal in China. This has, in urban areas, increased the value and the stock of women, an unintended consequence. Not to mention that the population is aging, and as people reach retirement age, they will need increasing numbers of workers to support this oceanic bulge of aging pensioners in China. In India, it's 108 to 100. What is this about? Both sex selection and females in rural areas are less valued than males, along with some amount of violence towards women. In the United States, we have 97 males to 100 females. In other words, in this country, there are more females than there are males. This is the case in every rich country, every developed country, every westernized country. That means that if the playing field is leveled and at least near equal, women will outlive men, and there will be more women in a society than there are males. One of the things I'd like you to know about is the role of the Chinese in the United Nations. There is something called the UN Security Council. It has 5 permanent members, each of whom has permanent veto power over any and all actions in the UN. So any one of those 5 countries can single-handedly stifle the actions of the entire body of the UN by vetoing whatever that action may be. These 5 countries are the winners of World War II. Can you guess them? Here's who they are. The US, the UK, the United Kingdom, France, Russia, and guess who? China. The Russians and the Chinese use their veto power generally to assist their clients. Neither of those 2 countries have allies. That is, countries that naturally support them and have similar agendas. What they have is clients. A client is a very different thing than an ally.